The first phase of the project that we worked with Cranfield University on was a conceptual piece, and that was identifying that there is a market demand for this. So then this TSB project was actually to then further that and create a prototype.
At Cranfield we're doing a lot of work around the circular economy and how design in particular can really assist the transition from a linear to a circular model, and the work that we've done with Clarity has really demonstrated that that can be achievable, and the funding has really helped to get us there.
We do a lot of exhibitions and events for our clients, and we were seeing a need for looking at a more sustainable solution to exhibition stands that typically have one use and then get thrown away. Now there are pop-up type stands and modular approaches out there on the market, but typically they don't have the quality and that bespoke look to them. So we were looking at this project with those two objectives in mind, to have something that could have that bespoke feel and be reusable to help reduce the environmental impacts of exhibitions. So the next phase was then we became aware of the TSB grant that we could apply for, and through working with Cranfield University we put in an application and were successful, and this meant that we could then take it to the next stage and actually build a prototype and start looking at the actual design of a modular approach and how this could work in reality.
Off the back of actually doing initial designs, we decided to put together a few prototypes to actually demonstrate a few of the different mechanisms involved, overcoming various complications that we felt were challenging actually as part of the build. Clarity originally put some initial research together and provided that to us, which enabled us to look at some initial concepts of how certain walls could actually be sort of aligned together and how they could actually create a system. From that we tried to develop those ideas further, and after putting some various different sample units together.
So the modular exhibition stand's been completely designed within our 3D modelling package. What that allows us to do, as you can see on screen, is to completely rotate the model within a 3D space. Not only that, it allows us to zoom into certain areas. We can check the fit of components, how the latches and bearings integrate with one another, and so forth. So the model is broken down into individual assemblies. So basically from this model I can take drawings direct from the parts into a 2D state, and then basically from there I can then create route files or detailed technical drawings which we can then send off to companies for quotes or manufacture from there basically.
On the second prototype we decided to go sort of back to the drawing board, because obviously with the fact that the first sample unit was too heavy, and unfortunately the actual structure aspect of it wasn't good enough, we decided to look at other materials that were out there. It was very difficult sort of to try and balance between a bespoke nature against the eco aspects of the design brief. Obviously that was one of the biggest sort of challenges that we had to overcome.
The prototyping and the testings actually came up with a solution that we've put in front of a couple of clients, and they're really keen on. We can see that the business case works for us, but it actually works for them as well, so we really believe that this is a win-win-win solution. So it's a win for we think, for the supply chain and reducing materials and toxicity out of the exhibition stand supply chain. We think it's a win for Clarity because the business case does stack up for us. This could be something that saves a lot of our costs and helps increase our profit in the long run, and it's a win for our clients because we believe we can charge it for less than we would a regular stand solution, because the hours we need to put into developing it and implementing it each time would be less, but that means that they'll get a better price but the same quality result, and they can also have the bonus of knowing that what's going into their exhibition presence is well considered, and it has got sustainability at its heart. So the first way to do that was to take a stand that we actually worked on with E.ON sort of a few months back. We basically did build this stand as a bespoke piece. It went out for various stages of recycling the elements of it that weren't reused. So we know the life cycle impacts of that. We know all the weights and the costs attributed to putting that particular stand in market.
So my role in this project was to carry out a life cycle assessment of the original stand and then compare that to a life cycle assessment of the new design stand. The most important things that needed to be put into the software to get the life cycle assessment was the type of material, the mass of the material, the transport of the materials to and from the exhibition, and what was happening at the end of life of the materials. The old stand, because it was going straight to landfill, had a really high impact at its end of life, whereas the new stand, because it was being reused, had a high end of life potential, and therefore there was high carbon savings due to it being its reusability, and also its materials were more sustainable and less harmful on the environment, therefore having a positive environmental impact.
So there are a lot of incremental approaches to how products and services can be made more sustainable, but I think that this project is a brilliant example of how we've taken that to another level and really used a whole system approach across the supply chain, getting multiple partners involved to come up with a really innovative idea that competes with other stands out there on the market but is a much more sustainable solution.
We're very excited about the final prototype, but after having built this final prototype, it's enabled us to actually now see that we really think that there's a market for a stand of this type. There still needs to be a lot more tweaks to it. There's obviously a lot of aspects to the design that we still want to change, but that's the idea of prototyping, and that's been the biggest benefit of being able to actually put this project together and actually focus on prototyping and coming up with a system such as what we've done.
So the end prototype is really quite exciting actually, because we can really see that it will serve the purposes of the marketplace, and that's not just meeting the needs of our clients but also further down the line working with people throughout the supply chain, so that perhaps a stand contractor, we can see that this solution would really be appealing to them as well, because it would save them time for the on-site build.